Revelation is all about perseverance. And we need a vision, we need something to see, to persevere, to keep going for God. Well, in the book of Revelation, we have the culmination of this vision in Revelation 20 and 21. We're coming to the end of Revelation, and I just want to show you all of these contrasts that have come to full fruition in Revelation 21. Here's a bit of a list. You might want to read Revelation 21 and 22 and take a pause. In Revelation chapters 2 and 3, we saw the old. There were false prophets in chapter 2, verse 2. In chapter 2, verse 9 and 3, verse 9, there were false Jews. In chapter 2, verse 13 of Revelation, Christians dwell near Satan's throne. In chapter 3, verse 1, some Christians were found dead. In chapter 2, verses 14, 15, and 2, 9, and 3, 9, the church is filled with impurities. In chapter 2, 8 to 10 and 13, Christians face persecution. But you see, as we get to chapter 21, all of this is the mirror image of all of these. In chapter 21, we see the mirror image of all of these things. Instead of false prophets, we have in chapter 21, verse 14, 12 apostles. Instead of the false Jews, in 21:12, we have real Jews, the 12 tribes of Israel's sons inscribed on the gates. Instead of Christians dwelling near Satan's throne, meaning being persecuted, we have in chapter 2:13, we have in 22:1, Christians dwell in God's throne. In the New Jerusalem, people are written in the book of life instead of being dead, as in chapter 3:1. God's church is filled with purity and truth in the new creation. This is why at the end of chapter 21, verse 8, the cowards, the faithless, the detestable, the murderers, the sexually immoral are all cast out. There's only purity and truth, chapter 21:8 and verse 27. And Christians face persecution in chapter 2 and chapter 8, 2 verses 8 to 10 and 13, but they will reign having inherited his promises. Chapter 22:4 and chapter 21:10 and 1. This is a vision, all of this stuff about jewels and about gates and about a holy city. It's a vision to be put forth to God's people for them to keep persevering, because they know that in the end, those who face persecution will face vindication of the truth. Those who may feel dead or part of a dead church will be written in the book of life. The world filled with impurity and evil will be pure. This is the vision that God has for his people as the time draws near. And we finish in chapter 22 with a little section on listening to Jesus. It says, "Don't seal up the words of the prophecy of this book, because the time is near." This is not to say that Revelation is happening anytime soon, or the times of Revelation happening anytime soon, but simply remember that Revelation is a cycle of what happens throughout history, of evil and of good and of salvation and of judgment and of what God will do. And so the time is near, because there are always Christians that will face persecution, and there are always people that need to persevere for God. Well, that's it for our book of Revelation. Stay tuned for next time, and we'll see what we get into in our daily devotions next time.